Today in the crypto space, we see the market getting a bit of a bounce. However, Bitcoin and Ethereum are still hovering around those critical levels of potential support. Bitcoin at about 26,000 and Ethereum at about 1,600. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, are pretty much waiting for these heavyweights to make moves. However, guys, in the meantime, we do see some good movers like ICP, Maker, and a few more. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin that many people are talking about. It's part of the AI narrative, and it is called TAO. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, all we want to do is stay one step ahead of this market so that we can capitalize on any of that volatility. If you appreciate that strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Guys, if you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is the place to be. A lot of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and all that good stuff. All right, guys, let's get right into it. We're going to be looking at the general market first, then we'll take a look at Bitcoin as a leading indicator. If Bitcoin shows us the way, maybe we should be getting into some good trades. However, guys, I feel like this market in general, as an overall package, is not really telling us very much, right? We see, Bitcoin going sideways, Ethereum going sideways, BNB getting a bit of relief to the upside, 3% give or take, which is good. Hopefully that FUD kind of blows over and is done with. No matter what kind of shots people give BNB still holds up. Binance is still holding up, so that's a good sign of strength in my book. Cardano looking sideways again, still within range. Tron breaking to higher levels, and maybe currently at the current level getting a bit of resistance, but nonetheless looking okay. Higher highs, higher lows, that's all we can ask for, right? And the same thing with Altcoin. Maybe get a bit of resistance currently, but still higher highs and higher lows. So we can pay attention to Altcoin and Tron. Both right now are doing very well, but as you can see, the rest of the crypto space not doing so well, like very sideways, range bound, getting rejected off previous levels of resistance, previous highs type of thing. So my overall feeling right now in this market is to just be very careful and start DCing nice and slowly. I feel like early next week we can start getting into a different stance. I feel like early next week we can start thinking about, look, we could start pivoting into a bullish narrative. Start DCing bit by bit, start looking for opening position, long positions, based on maybe the 4-hour momentum, maybe at least a 4-hour momentum, we can get a nice little rally up, and then, maybe come back down and start trading the daily to the upside as well. So let's see what happens. In the meantime, we do see Bitcoin kind of resetting its momentum, and that for me is an indication that we could be getting a bit of relief to the upside very soon. However, guys, in the meantime, again, it's about finding those opportunities, and there are many opportunities in the last little while. Now, we noticed that in the last 7 days, these numbers are coming down because as time passes, the dip is kind of becoming history, and you see the price action going sideways. But a lot of these altcoins have dipped down significantly in the last little while. So this is why it's important to kind of, zoom out a little bit and see big picture. Look at Render, look at Radix, look at many coins that are currently retracing and touching those levels of support that are very necessary for a potential bounce. Sui still looking strong. So we got 3 tokens out of the top 100 so far that are doing very well, creating those higher highs and higher lows, which means the trend is up. However, guys, be careful, because if the market decides to come down and test lower levels, I believe that all these altcoins eventually will get into a fire sale mode, and we would have to make some critical decisions. Do we buy dips, or do we just hold on and see what happens, right? So in my opinion, right now, the market is giving us plenty and ample of time to make these decisions for ourselves as traders. DYDX looking very strong. We talked about DYDX live yesterday. It's up another 7 and a bit percent, almost 8% in the last little while. Looking pretty good. However, guys, it could be rolling over very soon. I'm going to put DYDX once again on the list for tonight's live stream. DYDX. And of course, if you have any projects that you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. Better yet, join me live at 7:30 Eastern, where you can request them live and we can talk about them as a community. All right, guys. What else can we say? Pretty much sideways. Overall consensus. Not many gainers. Not much happening. Really good accumulation phases in play right now. And of course, we're here to talk about TAO. The actual name, full name on TAO. Honestly, it's a mouthful. It's a mouthful, and it is, let's see if I can find it. It's Bittensor, something like that. TAO. Anyways, it's a lot of people go by TAO. Where is it? TAO. Okay, let's move on. Anyways, TAO, I can't even find it. I can't even search it. But nonetheless, it is a popular project. And at the end of the day, I think it deserves our attention. I'm getting a lot of requests on socials about TAO. And I figure Bittensor, there you go. It was right in front of my face. Bittensor TAO is a great project, good AI project. But nonetheless, I feel that, it deserves our attention. The retracement is healthy. But before we get into it, guys, I know that you want to talk about charts. So let's begin our analysis talking about Bitcoin. Let's do that. Bitcoin coming down to lower levels. Okay, fine, but getting some support recently. Going sideways. Bottom of the range, obviously, in oversold conditions, and I feel that we could be coming down to start, giving us some confirmations. I think this price action needs a bit of data before we can say, you know what, I'm building some confidence for a long. Right now, we can see we're getting a bit of negativity after a bit of a rejection. We can see that the RSI is currently rolling over just ever so slightly, which, is an indication that maybe we can get a bit of a dip in the short term. And if we get into the 4 hour, what's happening? Did we even get fully reset to overbought conditions? Not really just yet, so it could be that we kind of get a fake out, maybe come up a little bit more, but ultimately a bit of a dip to lower levels is key. What I'm really looking for, honestly, right now is some data. There's not enough info. Yeah, we got a bit of bullish divergence, class A, class B, bullish divergence, but is it enough? Is it enough to suggest that we start going long here, even for a long position on the 4 hour? Now, if you were able to get an entry here at the bottom and, right now you would be, in a bit of profits. However, guys, right now the price action is coming back down. It's going to test weekends. And this is where a lot of people get wrecked, right? Especially if the price comes down and hunts liquidity and sweeps the lows. It could be possible that your trade would get into break even. A lot of people put themselves in break even as soon as possible, which of course is a very smart thing to do based on risk management. So this is the thing here, guys. Here on the 4 hour, Bitcoin is giving us mixed signals. Are we going to go up to higher levels? Maybe. We're in the chop zone on the 50, could continue to the upside, sure. Or is it going to retrace and get a basically a confirmation low on the RSI and give us some signs of potential bullish divergence or something like that? If we do get that, guys, a sign of bullish divergence, class A bullish divergence, a lower low with a higher low on the RSI type of thing, guys, that would give me a lot more confidence, especially at this level of horizontal, to go into a short-term long position based on the 4 hour. Okay, guys, not the daily. On the 4 hour, the daily is still okay. Honestly, it's not bad of starting to accumulate a little bit of a position, but I'm not getting any indications just yet. Okay, there's nothing here in the chart suggesting that the 1 hour is ready to rock. So let it come down. If you want to get into a long on your daily time frame, that's not a problem. But get a better entry, guys, because I feel like the 4 hour could be rolling over in the next couple of days, and then we'll be able to get at lower levels and basically snipe a great entry with a tight stop loss of invalidation. That way you mitigate all the risk. And if we do get stopped out by coming down to lower levels, guys, so be it. At least you didn't risk too much of your portfolio. That's the best way to do it, guys. Trade by trade, one by one. As it comes down, you get back in, you put a tight stop loss, and eventually you're going to hit one trade. You could lose 1, 2, even 3 trades, but on the 4th trade, sometimes it's all it takes is the 3rd trade for you to actually make your gains back from all the little losses that you've got incurred on your stop losses, and then some, and making you a profitable trader. You got to think about it like that. Okay, it's about many trades and mitigating your risk and your losses on the losing trades, but maximizing the gains on the winning trades. And right now, that's what we're hunting for. We're looking for a winning trade very, very soon. And I'm expecting something to happen here with Bitcoin. The ideal scenario for me with Bitcoin was to see Bitcoin go range bound sideways. Okay, we'll discuss Bitcoin more in tonight's live stream at 7:30 Eastern. Guys, feel free to join me then. All right, let's begin. Let's take a look at TAO. TAO is one of those projects that a lot of people have been talking to me about. I've been getting many messages on the socials with regards to TAO, even the live streams, people coming on talking about TAO. So I figured, why not? And as an AI project, I feel like it still has a little bit of interest, although the AI narrative kind of simmered down just a bit. It's okay, it's very normal in a bear market for a lot of ideas to be fizzled away, but nonetheless, here on the daily, I feel like TAO, it could be ready. Bittensor could be ready for a bit of a bounce. Now, of course, it's all about probability. And this is a great example right now, this chart, as a learning experience to show you guys how probability has to step in here. It's not 100% here. In fact, the trade going long is not absolutely perfect. And this is the reality. So when you're in that scenario, when your setup or your, confirmations are not perfect, do you not enter a trade, or do you find another strategy to enter a trade while still giving you exposure, but not taking too much risk? And that's the key. It's about taking a trade based on your risk tolerance. Right now, the risk tolerance in this trade should be very low, and I'm going to explain why. If you look at this on the daily, right, we do have a bit of a scenario here on the momentum. The momentum's pretty stopped right in the 50% mark. 50% mark for me means chop city. This is where a lot of traders get chopped up, chewed up, and spit out. This is the most difficult place to trade right now. If you're going to trade this, you're going to have to get into lower time frames, and you're going to have to trade the range and trade the tops and the bottoms. That's viable, but not on the daily. It's too choppy. Now, if you look at the MACD, it looks like it wants to get into the bullish control zone, but it's very indecisive. You can see that there's a lot of resistance and hesitation. And what I don't like about the MACD is the fact that it's kind of rolling a little bit. It's kind of dipping over, meaning it looks like it's barely going to make it to get into the green, and it's going to finally come right over, right? So I'm not getting that signal here. The EMAs are still facing down, a bit of a fake out right here. Very choppy, very weird price action. I'm not using the MACD as an indicator. I like crossovers like this. When I see crossovers like this, straight down, nice descending, nothing curved. Look at this curve. I don't like these curves. These curves kind of make you feel like this thing's ready to roll over again and come back into the bearish zone. So what am I looking at? Right now, I'm looking at both the MACD and the RSI, showing me that the bears could have a little bit more strength to bring the price down a bit further. The RSI is still hovering around this zone, which leads me to believe that at the end of the day, there's still a little bit of room for this thing to come down to lower levels. Now, if it's in the 40 zone or in the, around the 50 zone, it's very possible that we do get fully reset to oversold conditions. And if that happens, that's where you're going to see the biggest impulse to the downside. So what does that mean for us as traders? That means that we got to understand that if you go into a long position right now, you're taking a bit of a chance, statistically speaking, that the price can actually come down to lower levels, which for me would be the bottom of this volume gap, which is right around this zone. Okay, this is the volume gap. Let me alter this a bit. Let me make sure I'm not on log or anything. No, we're good. Okay, so this is what I would be looking at. Okay, this type of scenario. If we break down, it could come down. Now, one thing that I do want to point out is the level of importance of this diagonal. Okay, this diagonal right now is looking like a very important place. Now, it's not an ideal trend. Why? Because we didn't get 3 touches. 1, 2, right? We're speculating right now that this could be a scenario where we could get a 3rd touch. Let's see if we can make this a little bit better by touching the wicks. Look how perfect it is. In fact, we're very close to touching the trend line if you include the tips of the wick. Now, the tips of the wicks right now are basically being tested. We're at a good level. Now, do we have confluence? We have horizontal support. You can see that here, the top of the volume gap, horizontal support. We have diagonal support based on trend. We have a previous price action, obviously some tops, but the most important thing for me is the gap, the volume gap. We're at the top of the volume gap that most often does get defended by the bulls. The bulls love to defend the top of the volume gap and also the bottom of the volume gap. So this is something that we really need to consider. But keep in mind that the MACD is doing that rollover thing that I don't like. And the RSI is pretty much stuck in the middle here, where, if we do get another impulse down to lower levels, I feel like we can get down to about $53 and even as low as about 51 at the point of control. So right around this zone. So what are you going to do here on the daily? DCA, perhaps buy a bit here, and then be prepared to scale in, double down, triple down at this level, so you average your cost down. You bring your average cost down, that way your entry is better if you DCA and go in heavier at lower levels. Another viable alternative is if you went long and put a tight stop loss underneath previous lows, right? So in this case, let's get into lower time frames so you can see what I mean with a bit more detail. This is still looking good, guys. You can see that the price action is coming down and the RSI was moving up. Then this final area right here, this final dip, in fact, the momentum is slightly higher. It's a higher low on the momentum, higher high, slightly, not even higher high on the price action. It's quite double bottomy or triple bottomy. Look at the 1 hour. It looks great as far as showing the level of support that we're getting here. Okay, look at this level of support. This is a beautiful level of support. And I know I don't trade the 1 hour, but sometimes just for visual representation, it's a great way to actually see all the little price action, all the noise in between, because sometimes that noise actually gives you a little bit of confidence because it's confluent, right? So you can see a bunch of touches, a bunch of attempts to break through the volume gap where the price action actually held up above it. So that's a sign of strength in my book, okay? As long as we're not creating lower lows and knocking at it, I feel like we should be okay here. Now, again, stop loss right underneath previous lows, go get into a long position and take a bit of profit. Where would I be taking profit? Honestly, right around here at about $69, $70. For me, that would be a great area, and the next area would be about 75. From a risk to reward ratio, how does that look, right? Because again, that's very important. If you get in right now, okay, and you put your stop loss right underneath the previous lows and you take your profit right around here, you're looking at a 3 to 1, 3.5 to 1 ratio, which is great. 14% pump to the upside while you're sacrificing 4%. You know, on spot, that's not bad. If you can get a better entry to reduce your loss to about 1 or 2%, that would be awesome, of course. But then again, if you look at it, if you take a bit more profit up here, you're looking at 25% gains. So overall, this is not a bad setup. Okay, not a bad setup given the fact that you retraced already significantly. I'm wondering what type of Fibonacci level we're hitting here. So patience, guys, patience, because we've been very, very patient with a lot of these retracements. We've hit the 786 retracement. Let me make it a little bit more accurate here so that, you know, we can see exactly what's happening. 786 retracement from this swing low from swing low to swing high, 786. We didn't even hit the 786. We fell below the golden pocket 618 retracement. We're below the 200 EMA on the 4 hour, and we are currently getting support on both horizontal and diagonal. And are we getting bullish divergence? Yes, we are. Lower lows on the price action, higher highs on the RSI, which is very, very healthy scenario here, guys. We're getting a lot of confluence. The only thing that bothers me is the daily. Again, it's the daily, but the 4 hour is looking decent. Now, we came from oversold conditions. We got up, we came back down, still came lower low, and this is the bullish divergence. Now we're looking for the follow through. This does look like a third drive of bullish divergence here. This is an opportunity, in fact, to see this thing actually bounce. Now, a lot of people might say, look, this looks like an inverse cup and handle. Guys, it really does. You really look at this. In fact, look at this, you know, cup and handle, very clear. Inverse cup and handle measured move is a breakdown down to way lower levels. And it could definitely happen. But if you've been trading here, if you've been trading for a while, you know that cup and handles and inverse head and shoulders or regular head and shoulders only become bearish or bullish when they actually break the neckline, when they actually break the line of resistance. That is the fact. So right now, this thing could definitely get a bounce. It becomes bearish once it breaks down. If it holds up here, it's just a level of support. It's a bit, potentially a pivot point to the upside. And that's the thing that I'm kind of banking on here with this risk to reward ratio. Now, if we do break down, you got to cut your losses and expect that it's going to break big picture trend. Remember this trend line, this thicker white line? If it breaks that trend, guys, we're coming down, and the measured move for a breakdown is huge here on Bittensor. And we can take a measured move of, you know, the cup and kind of do one of these, and then we start to see that we can come down all the way down to the 1.27, maybe testing the 1.618 extension to about $20, give or take. Okay, give or take 19, 20, something like that, right? And if you go on the weekly, which could potentially justify that, there's no data. there's very little data right now to suggest that that could happen. Other than that, we are in an upward sloping type of consolidation, some sort of retracement, but nonetheless, expect the worst here, guys. We could get a bounce. Look how nice and clear this is here on the weekly. Even on the 4-day, it should be nice. Look at that. We can see that we're in a trend to the upside. Okay, very clear trend to the upside. Now the question is, when do we start disrespecting these trend lines and breaking through? Okay, guys, so mitigate your risk. This is a good long position with a very tight stop loss, and in fact, if we break that stop loss, we will have good opportunities to get into Bittensor at lower levels. All right, guys, thank you for stopping by. If you appreciated what I did here on this video, do the channel a huge favor and slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm, getting these videos going. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. A great community, lots of alpha, great TA and fundamentals, and join me live at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.